This is Jamey with Stillmeyer Games, and for today's Sunday sit-down video, I'm going to talk about my top 10 funniest games. Obviously, humor is very subjective, but I try to select the games that are the most likely to make me laugh. Some of them will fall into the party game category, but others are games that just have clever writing in them that makes me smile, makes me laugh, makes me have those humorous moments in games. Without further ado, I'll get to the number 10 game on this list, and that is Deep Sea Adventure. This is a push your luck game where a lot of the humor comes from two different things. One is that you're sharing oxygen with the other players as you dive down under the water to try to collect treasure. Because you're sharing that oxygen, as you use oxygen, you are using other players' oxygen too. And so there's this level of interaction there that wouldn't otherwise be in the game if you weren't sharing that oxygen. As part of that, each player is kind of deciding how deep they want to dive and when to actually pick up treasure. And this just leads to some zany moments in the game as players are picking up treasure when they shouldn't, picking up treasure in ways that impacts other players because it weighs you down and makes you use more oxygen. And I don't know, this was borderline to make the list, but I always, for some reason, end up smiling and laughing while playing Deep Sea Adventure. So I wanted it to be on the list. That's my number 10. When I Dream is my number 9. This is a kind of a team game where the teams shift throughout the game, where players take turns wearing a sleep mask, an actual sleep mask, which I will show you here. And this definitely adds to the silly fun of it. Oh, the pieces in this game go everywhere apparently when you pack it up. Where is my sleep mask? Yeah, here we go. The active player wears this actual sleep mask during the game for, I believe it's about a minute-long timer, where they are trying to guess the words that other players are saying. So other players are giving them one-word clues to something like this. So if the clue is key here, other players are giving them one-word clues to get this player to guess key. And part of the silly fun comes from this, but part of the silly fun comes from the fact that not all the players are on your side. Some of them are trying to get you to guess key. Others are not trying to get you to guess key. And so there's this, as you play when we play When I Dream, we are kind of holding in our laughter while we play, while this one player is stuck under the sleep mask. And then at the end of the round, this player has to recount their dream, which often also ends up being very silly because they are recounting something that they couldn't see and that they are just hearing and guessing. They don't even know if they guessed correctly. I've had a lot of silly fun with When I Dream, and that's why stuff falls out of the box everywhere. That's why it is my number 9 on my funniest games list. My number 10, the pieces are still falling out here. Yeah. My number 10 game on this list is Summit. I mentioned Summit on a recent list of most memorable games, and the reason Summit is memorable is also the reason that Summit is funny. Summit's a mountain climbing game here, and that is the event cards in this game are just so well written, and they happen at ridiculous times. I love that in Summit that these events can happen, that they happen all the time, and it doesn't matter where on the mountain you are when most of them happen. They're going to happen anyway. So the memorable moment that I have recounted many times is that I got hungry within the first hour of the climb, and I ate my Sherpa. That's what the event card had me do, which is ridiculous, obviously. Obviously, I wouldn't be hungry an hour into the climb, but it's memorable. It was funny. Every game of Summit has something like that. And I love that the event card deck wasn't stacked so something like that would only happen at the top of the mountain. It's more fun. It's more memorable that it happened right at the beginning of the climb. So I love that the event card deck isn't stacked, isn't organized, and I love the writing in this game. The writing of the event cards makes the game so much fun and so funny. We laugh every time we play Summit, while also having a lot of deep strategical moments. That's why Summit is my number 8 funniest game. My number 7 I don't own. It's a game called Trogdor. Trogdor is another one that's just really humorously written. The different abilities you have in the game have weird names on them and often weird descriptive text, weird photos on them that with me not even really knowing much about Trogdor itself, I was just having a blast laughing and playing Trogdor, especially at the end of the game where if you haven't won, Trogdor goes on a rampage across the village side, which is just an amazing, silly, fun moment to watch this one token that all players are controlling just rampage across the countryside, destroying things and potentially giving you a chance to win. And that's why Trogdor is my number 7 funniest game. So just really, really humorously written game. And the rules themselves are also really, really well written and humorously written. My number 6 is Just One. Still got pieces falling out from When I Dream. Just One is one of my favorite games of 2019. It is a party game where one person is guessing one word that for which they've been given clues by the other players, as long as those other players haven't duplicated their clues by mistake. This isn't quite a laugh out loud game. There are times where we've laughed out loud, but it's mostly just ongoingly humorous in the different clues that you're giving the other player. Sometimes they're inside jokes. Sometimes they're just random clues that somehow fit together really well or don't fit together well at all because you are not collaborating with other players as you are writing down these clues. If we're giving a clue to pizza, I might write down pepperoni, and you might write down some reference to a movie with pizza that you happen to watch with the other person the other day, and those two clues may look really weird next to each other. But Just One leads to those moments because you are limited just to that one word and because you are not collaborating with the other players before you write those words down. And that's why Just One is my number 6 funniest game. My number 5 is A Fake Artist Goes to New York, another one that made my most memorable games list. I should have mentioned humor on that list as a way that to help games be more memorable. But in A Fake Artist Goes to New York, each player is taking turns drawing on a picture. Most of the players represent artists in the game who know exactly what they're drawing. Like say they're drawing a circus. One of the players is a fake artist. They do not know what everyone is drawing, and they are just trying to go along for the ride. Fake Artist is a weird game in that there are some chuckles while you're actually drawing and playing. Because everyone's watching this picture come to life that you're all drawing. And you're kind of seeing as you play that some people aren't good at drawing, that someone might clearly be the fake artist, but maybe they may not even end up being the fake artist. But the biggest part of the humor comes at the end of a game, which is very short in A Fake Artist, at the end of the game, where you have this completed picture and you reveal who is who, and you get to talk about the picture that you just drew. We've had just some really, really funny moments emerge from this game, largely due to the fake artist having no idea what is being drawn and just trying to do their best to make it look like they know what's going on. The game doesn't always work because if the fake artist feels like it's too obvious, if that person feels it's too obvious, they may not really play along. Like they may really give away that they are the fake artist without meaning to. But I think it's good to remember that it is not obvious. It is rarely obvious because you are collaboratively drawing this picture, and not everyone is good at drawing, and you can't pick up your pencil or pick up the pen while you're doing so. It is tough to do. So even though it may seem obvious, it is not obvious to other players, and it can lead to those really funny moments in A Fake Artist Goes to New York. I had one of the funniest experiences of my life playing games a few weeks ago playing QE, and that's why QE is definitely going to be on this list. QE is an auction game where you can write down any number as your bid in the auction. And we've just had a lot of silly fun playing this because partially because of the freedom there, partially the freedom to write down any number. You can write down a tiny number, you can write down a gazillion if you want. But partially because you can also bend the rules a little bit. And as long as what you write down results in a specific number, we allow that you can write down anything you want. Sometimes someone writes down a complex equation, or writes down, someone had a clue like the year that this thing happened or multiplied by the year that this other thing happened, and that was their number. So as long as, in our rules at least, and I think the game allows this, that everything you write results in a very specific number with no ambiguity, anything goes. And so we just had a lot of fun writing down random stuff that just led to a lot of laughter. I mean, we were just laughing and laughing playing QE. And that's why QE is my number 4 funniest game. My number 3, I no longer own because I think I gave it to my parents because my parents loved it even more than I did, and that is Funemployed. This is the hardest that I think I've ever seen my father laugh, and my mom was laughing too. We played Funemployed on vacation a few years ago. In Funemployed, you are applying for a job. Every round, one player is the applicant, the other players are interviewing this person for a specific job, and the other way around. All the players are the applicants, one player is the employer, and all the other players are asking or making their case for why they should be hired. There are lots of different ways to play Funemployed. By far my favorite way is to have players not look at the cards that they are flipping before they have to make their pitch. So they have to kind of make their pitch on the fly. I think that like the official way to play Funemployed is that you have all these trait cards, and you get to pick which ones that you're playing as you're making your case to be the new employee. But I think it's far funnier if you don't look at those cards. And so you're basically saying, okay, I think I would be a really good taxi driver because, and then you reveal a trait that says that you are 20 feet tall. And you have to then on the fly describe why being 20 feet tall makes you a better taxi driver. Really funny people can make that happen, can make those twists happen in really funny ways. But the game itself, if you play that way, just by simply flipping the card often creates those humorous moments. So it almost has nothing to do with what players are doing, but just the act of revealing that you are 20 feet tall and you're applying to be a taxi driver can be funny in the right context, in the right moment. It also takes the pressure off the player himself or herself to be funny because the cards are doing it for them. That's my favorite way to play Funemployed. I really, really love playing that way, and it is definitely one of the funniest games I've ever played. My number 1 I have. My number 2 I don't, though. And my number 2 surprised me because it's an older game, and I forgot how much fun it was to play. And it is called Scattegories. In Scattegories, you are writing down 10 different things that start with a specific letter. And so the 10 things, there's 10 different categories, and you were trying to find one thing that starts with that letter in each category. And it is surprisingly funny. I've just been amazed by how much fun we've had playing this game because it's a much older game. I was surprised that it remained fun as a party game given all the modern party games that exist now. But the humor from Scattegories for me comes from sometimes the inability to think of a word that is really, really obvious, and you end up writing down something that doesn't really fit. But at the end of every round, you kind of reveal what everyone wrote, and the things that people write, because of the timed element, because they're just pressured to write down something, end up being often really, really funny, especially since you're also limited to a certain letter. If I give you a category, you could easily think of something in that category, but then if I limit you in a secondary way to a specific letter, a word that starts with a letter in that category, it suddenly becomes much harder, and you might just desperately write down something that comes to mind that doesn't even make all that much sense. And that's where the humor comes from in Scattegories. We've just had a lot of fun with it. That's why it's my number 2. My number 1 funniest game probably is no surprise if you watch this channel, and that is Telestrations. Telestrations, party game, classic, so funny. So in Telestrations, in case you haven't played it, and I really highly recommend this as a party game, even a party game for introverts, because there's not much pressure on you to be funny in the moment. It's a game where you start by writing down a word, and the next player has to draw a picture within a limited time representing that word, and then the next player has to write down what they think that picture depicts, and the next person has to draw again. So it's this game of telephone that alternates drawing and writing in a way that results in some absolutely hilarious moments every time I play. I've played with people where we're playing very clean. I've played in ways where we're playing dirty. I've played with people who kind of intentionally try to mess up the picture or the description. I've played with people who really try to guess the right thing, and you just cannot tell from that picture, or they write down something, or you're trying to draw something that someone else wrote down that doesn't make sense to you. It's hard to describe how funny this game is, but I just highly recommend playing it. I've had some of the best laughs playing any game, playing Telestrations in my life, and I'm very grateful for the game for that. And I do recommend the 12-pack. I think the 12-pack has just such good flexibility for those bigger groups when you play Telestrations, because every turn everyone's always doing something. You're always either drawing or writing as you're passing these books around. That's my list. That's my top 10 funniest games, in my opinion, just for me. I'd love to hear any of your funniest games are on this list. Anywhere the game might just have really good writing that makes you laugh, or where it's the players themselves who are doing silly things in the game that make you laugh. I'm up for hearing any game in the comments. I don't care if it's a crazy party game or a heavy Euro game that somehow makes you laugh. Any game goes. Let me know maybe your top 3 games that make you laugh the most in the comments below. Thanks.